So this plant here is one of my favorite plants, not just because it's a great ground cover evergreen for the shade, which is noteworthy, but because of what this does in the wild. And I love the bronzy color here. You'll actually note that if it's in the shade, it's green, and if it's in the sun, it bronzes up like this in the wintertime. But in the springtime, it goes back to being green. This plant is called Siberian Cedar, and it lives on the mountaintops in Siberia, go figure. And it releases a volatile oil all the time a little bit. So when the top of the mountain gets hit by lightning, kaboom, the whole thing bursts into flame. This plant is resistant to the fire. So all of its neighbors, who aren't it, burn away, leaving this plant to populate the top of the mountains. I forget what the native name for it is, but it roughly translates to top of mountain bursts into flame, which is really super cool. So behind me here are several European beech, and I'm looking at the trunks figuring that these are as old as the park. And you see the beautiful smooth bark on them. They look like elephant's feet, and these are gigantic. Again, those trunks, that's got to be 6 feet across. And something that's noteworthy about ancient trees, so you know what a sapling is, and it grows and it becomes a tree, and you know what that is, and eventually the tree becomes old. And when it becomes old, we're used to just cutting them down, because it's unsafe. But the truth is that they're going to slowly get smaller as they become ancient. And you're seeing it in this one that's directly behind me. You're seeing a fissure right through the trunk. It could be in a couple of hundred years, you could walk through that and that'll be fine. The tree will still be there in 2 halves. And in fact, they've put, you can almost see in the canopy there's a dynamic, let me get my paw in front of the camera. Down. There we go, right there is a dynamic tensioning system. So there's a cable there that lets the tree move back and forth and give in the wind, but still holds it together. This is a hemlock. This is not the hemlock that killed Socrates. This is not poisonous. In fact, this hemlock is edible and delicious. And it's got these little itty bitty cones that look just like Canadian larch or tamarack. And this is a large evergreen with small dark green needles. It's super shade tolerant, and it likes to grow right at the edge of a river. So water's flowing under its roots, but it's never actually sitting in water. Beautiful tree. The natives used to make a tea of this and flavor it, sweeten it with maple syrup, and they used to use the needles for flavoring bear and beaver, which I'm not likely to have, but I have put it in corned beef hash, and it was very good. This is Canada hemlock, Tsuga canadensis. Okay, so we talked about cones so much, and we will again, that's the beauty of it. This is Japanese larch. So a long time ago we saw European larch, and you'll remember that the scales didn't reflex back like this. So this is almost fluffy. So this is Larix camphori, Japanese larch, and very distinctively different from either of the larches that we've talked about so far, only sadly one of which we've seen. So in my hot little hands here, we have several different cones of spruce trees. We have a blue spruce, which is this fluffy little dude here. This great big guy is Norway spruce, very smooth. This little itty bitty guy is our native white spruce. We also have a black spruce, and it's got a little more rounded cone. And this guy who's sort of in between is Serbian spruce. So you can see how distinctly different these cones are. Very easy to learn what they look like. And then we have a surprise. This is Douglas fir, and Douglas fir's got these little sticky outy bits, which are very distinctive, nothing even vaguely like it. And there's a lovely, horrible story that goes with this. There's a Native American legend that there was a forest fire, and the mice all went to the Douglas fir and said, protect us, and the Douglas fir opened up its cones, and the mice climbed in and were sheltered from the fire. But when they were in there, they saw the seeds and they couldn't resist, and they ate the seeds. And in response, the Douglas fir closed up its cones, trapping the mice forever, and all you can see is their little tails sticking out. So the Gage Park tropical greenhouse. This is a new and beautiful greenhouse that they've built here. Although ironically we can't get inside where it's all nice and warm because of this goofy virus. But we're gonna just peek through the windows because it's a greenhouse, so it's got windows. And we're gonna see things like beautiful philodendrons and papaya trees. It's noteworthy that the soil that they use in a greenhouse, you can see through there that it's got little white speckles in it, and that's a peat-based soil. And peat-based soils drain really well. They're very predictable in how they hold and release water. So very different from the way that you would garden outside. Think of it as a giant planter, and everything that sort of implies. When we look down the long axis of this greenhouse, we can see, we're just going to zoom in there, and we can see a really nifty plant. That plant right, where's my finger? There is an Amorphophallus titanum. So that whole thing that you can see from all of this here, that is just one leaf. And it has one of the largest inflorescences in the world. It's not quite a flower, but it does the same job. Very cool, very beautiful. And you look at the way they've used foliage color and form and texture throughout this whole greenhouse, and you'll see that repeated over and over again as we work our way along. Now it's interesting, they've made a section of the greenhouse to be all edible plants here. So that guy right in the center there is coffee, and then that is a fig tree, and we already saw our friend the papaya. Never actually learned to love papaya, I always call it poopaya. We have a vanilla orchid, which is pretty nifty. This viney dealy is actually what they make black pepper from. And black pepper is not in any way, shape, or form the pepper that you know and love. That's pomegranate, mango, no, I think avocado actually. And this guy down here, that's pineapple. And beautiful, that across the way there is a type of ginger, absolutely gorgeous. Not sure if we can see the water feature from here. There's a very beautiful pond. Oh yeah, there we go. Down in there. Water in a garden is really, really important. It soothes us. Passion flower and passion fruit. And that big guy there is a ginger. And there's that, we're looking through a lot of reflection now, but that is our Amorphophallus leaf. One leaf, and then it dies off and it makes this giant flower. Very, very cool. Oh my goodness. Last time I was here, there was a banana tree and they have ripped it down. Interesting. They have some beautiful palms in this collection here, some really, really gorgeous plants and trees. That big guy in the background there, in the very center of the shot, that is a Strelitzia Nicolae, or a white bird of paradise. That little guy there is a pygmy date palm. He's a really nifty little plant, great texture. Cordyline. Hey, shot. That's terrible. Okay. Try and get out of the shot here. There we go. That's a cordyline. Really nice plant. And there's our white Strelitzia Nicolae again. That's a really nifty, way back in the back there, that's a really nifty cordyline as well. Beautiful color on that, and a good reminder of how powerful how less powerful flowers are and how powerful foliage color can be. And that guy there, the orange flowers, that is a regular bird of paradise, Strelitzia reginae. They've got a turtle pond in there with several different species of turtles, and a beautiful plant called cissus. That is Rex begonia vine. Whoops, growing on the side over there. That is Rex begonia vine. Cissus discolor, I believe. That, in the center there, is papyrus. And papyrus is what they made paper from. And I've always wanted to take a picture of papyrus and then take the papyrus and print the picture of the papyrus on the paper, so that then I would have a papyrus paper picture. Stilt palm. There's no actual, this is all roots. There's nothing in the center. This plant is holding itself up with those funky roots. And way up there are its funky leaves. I don't know if I can shield that well enough for you to see or not. Nope, not really. And orchids. We talked about epiphytes at one point. And if we didn't, we should have. These are all plants that will grow on trees, on the branches of trees up in the top of a rainforest. And I think that's it. If we go any further, we're not going to be able to see in the greenhouse.